ask that you make those choices now. And what I love is that already reminds us that whatever we need, we already have. And we have the power to make those choices to do whatever we need. So that's also a choice I'm going to say for this space as well. I'm here to guide you through a movement experience, but in no way do I know more about your body than you do. So if I do something that does not feel well, or if I ask you to do a position that your body's not wanting to do right now, I ask you to empower that choice. And there's more than one way for me to do anything that I want to do. All right. So you can put it in the chat that, oh, this doesn't feel well, or you can kind of come on mute just for a second to say that, but this is your experience and I'm just literally here to guide. Okay. So that idea of being a grounding body, I'm actually going to try to root us today in the idea of the pelvis, because that seems to be where my mind is going a little bit, especially as we had this grounding energy that we just brought into the space. So as a way to kind of explore our own bodies for just a second, I want you to, so this is a image of the bone ring that's in your body there, but all of our bodies are different. So I want you to have a moment of being able to explore what you're bringing to the table this morning. So these two guys, because you also hear me as we're moving together, maybe reference some of these guys. And so I want you to be able to have a clear point and that we're all on the same page, as well as see or investigate your own self this morning. So this is your pelvis. This is what it looks like. This is a three-dimensional version of it. But as we move in through here, first, I want us to take a little hand journey. So you can put your hands on what we typically call your hips, right? So you're gonna put your hand on there, and that's what you're touching here, this guy, which is your iliac crest, right? And so it comes around and it has a little bit of a point in the front. And usually we're touching this. That is your ASIS. You have one on each side. So as you're moving through here, moving through the space, I want us to always be aware of these two guys. So you can kind of put your hand on both sides to kind of feel what's happening there. And then you can take your fingers down and you can journey down to right in here, which is your pubic bone. And this little guy right in the middle, if you can see, is a little cartilage, it's your symphysis. So I always, in my classes, usually reference these 3 points, right? What's happening, weight going into your pubic bone, and then being aware of these. I often call these the headlights, right? So I always want to kind of know where your headlights are facing. So then we're going to journey around to the back. So you put, so now let's do that, do a whole movement journey. So you put your hands on that iliac crest. You're going to touch those points. You then are going to go down right in the front. It's yours. And you're going to really kind of touch your pubic bone. And then you can trace it all the way back up through that same pathway. And then you're going to let your hand journey around right to the middle, which is this sacrum here, right? So that's the sacrum is in charge. It's one of the biggest parts that makes the pelvis as mobile as we think of it. So that's your sacrum. So it's a triangle bone in between these two pelvic halves. This is what I call them, because you're often going to probably hear me reference them throughout the week as you're going. And then my fave, these two sits bones, right? So as you're sitting here just now, let's actually feel those two sits bones. So those bony landmarks that you feel when you're sitting down and you sit too long, those guys there. All right. So anytime you're sitting with me, I offer that you reference those two sits bones and that pubic bone. I call them like a little bit of a tripod. They're there to kind of hold our weight. Okay. So I want you to really sit as we're there on that tripod. And then this sacrum here that we just touched, it's part of your spine, but it functions as part of your pelvis. Right? So we're going to actually start our movement journey, kind of investigating the mobility of this sacrum. Okay. So you're sitting, we're all sitting there. You're going to want you to sit with your feet flat on the floor. And now we're going to already reference that idea of the tripod. Right? So your two sits bones And you're gonna have weight drawing down into the pubic bone. Yeah, you can make yourself comfortable, and your legs can be as straight or as bent as needed, so that way you can really sit on top of that tripod. All right. So today I'm a little bit tight in my hamstrings, so my legs aren't as bent. They're a little bit more, they're a little longer. All right, so we're sitting on that tripod. You're gonna take your arms out, palms are gonna be in front of you. Right, so your feet can be, I actually changed that. Your feet can be flat or your heels can be down, whichever one that's necessary. All right, so now we're gonna start that journey of moving through the sacrum. So that triangle bone in between, I want you to think about that tailbone curling under, and you're gonna scoop to try to roll yourself back. Yep, and you're gonna roll yourself all the way down until you feel the base of that sacrum kind of come down into your mat. You're gonna take a little breath there. Check out your headlights. Are they still facing forward? And then you're gonna take a breath deep in where you are. So you're gonna curl yourself back up in order to roll back to center. Good, and you're gonna come all the way back up into that tripod. We're gonna take that journey again. So you take a breath and tailbone curls under. You're gonna scoop, curling the pubic bone up towards your navel. Gonna slowly roll yourself back down until you feel the entire weight being on the sacrum, deepening that curl, pressing your feet down into the floor a little bit more, and you're gonna curl and roll yourself back up. That's right. And we're gonna do that one more time. So you're gonna go down, scoop, pubic bone coming up, curling yourself all the way back. Really deepen through that curl. Good, now hold where you are. See if you can take a nice deep breath, hollowing yourself out. You're gonna take your arms up towards the ceiling. They're gonna reach fingertips up while you hold base and stand on that sacrum. And you're gonna bring your arm right back down. Palms come back in line with your shoulder. So you can even use your breath, whatever feels good. Your arms are gonna come up, reaching up towards the ceiling, deepening, hollowing out through that curve of your spine, and then bring your palms back down so the palms come back in line with your shoulders. One more time. And arms are gonna lift, scooping, hollowing out through the abdominals, and then bring the hand down. And now from here, you're gonna take that journey, you're gonna continue to curl all the way down so that, yep, you're gonna go back. So that now you really feel all of the sacrum, and then allowing your spine to come all the way down and relax. Good. So now you're gonna bend your knees. Since we're having that idea of our movement experience being rooted in our pelvis, I want you to press your feet down into the floor and feel now the width of your sacrum, the width of your pelvis onto the floor. And now you're gonna invite the rest of your spine to kind of join. So you're allowing your ribs to be heavy, your head to be heavy, your sternum and through the middle of the breastbone to be dropped as well. And now from here, you're gonna move your pelvis, that whole thing as a whole. You're gonna curl the tailbone up, and now you're gonna really feel your sacrum really imprint into the mat. And then you're gonna drop the pubic bone back down. You're gonna do that just one more time. And you're gonna curl, scooping through. Good. And then you're gonna drop the pubic bone back down. And now we're gonna invite your feet to kind of help out as well. So I want you to feel your feet root into the floor. You're gonna curl through your tailbone and really feel your lower back down onto the mat or into your floor. Now from here, press down through your feet. Yep, you're gonna keep that curl, and you're gonna slowly peel up one little vertebra at a time. So as you're scooping, you're gonna peel your spine up. Those two headlights that we pointed to, you're gonna make sure that they're both, excuse me, that they're both facing the ceiling. And your knees are think of reaching up over your ankles and your toes. You're wrapping up through the back of the hips. So those two pelvic halves are trying to lift further up towards the ceiling. There you go. Knees are still reaching over your ankles and toes, and those headlights both are facing the ceiling. And then from there, you're gonna slowly peel yourself down, 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 starting from the back of the throat, the back of the ribs, and then your pelvis. And that sacrum is gonna be the last thing that comes back to the mat. Good, you're gonna do that one more time. Here we go. Press down through the feet. You're gonna curl through the tailbone. So that sacrum is curling under, that pubic bone that you touch is curling up towards your navel. You keep pushing down through your feet and keep curling until your pelvis comes off the mat. Peeling yourself up and away. Knees are gonna still reach over your ankles and toes. Good. And you're going to make sure that your spine is, that your pelvis is the highest point and not your rib cage. So your sternum and heart is trying to melt towards the mat, but your pelvis is lifting. From here, you're going to take your arms up towards the ceiling again. So palms are coming back in line with your shoulders. You're pressing through your hips. You're really lifting up. From there, your arms are going to go over your head one more time. They're going to go back, over, almost like you're unveiling your armpits to the ceiling. And then your palms are going to come back up over your shoulders. You do that twice more. And arms are going to go up, reaching it away. And then they're going to come back down one more time. And arms are going to go up. Good. Now you're going to leave your arms over your head. Continue to soften through your ribs and soften through your sternum. Now your pelvis is going to sit like you're sitting in a chair. So I want you to crease, letting your tail drop towards the floor just a little bit. And now you're going to press through your feet and lift your hips back up. Good. And you're going to lower the hips down one more time. You're going to go drop through the pelvis as if like you're sitting in the chair. And now you're going to push through your feet, wrap through your glutes. So lift your pelvis up one more time. If fingertips are still reaching. You're going to go down once more, dropping through the hips, press through the feet, wrapping through the glutes, knees reach over, ankles over toes. You're still having that. And now from here, your heart is soft. You're going to slowly peel yourself down, one segment at a time, leading yourself all the way back to your pelvis. Good. Nice, guys. You're going to put your hands down by your side. In fact, let's just take a moment and bring your knees into your chest, just really quickly.
May I ask
Absolutely.
a question? Okay.
Absolutely.
I love the benefit of being live is that you can actually have that feedback.
Absolutely.
You can watch the recording. So for me, the question I have is, when you describe that sitting position, I didn't really understand that verbally. So I don't think I did that properly. Is it possible to demonstrate again from the bridge?
Absolutely. From the sitting, you mean the places that I was referencing on the pelvis?
Yes. So let me show you. Can you see me?
Absolutely. Now I can.
Okay. So once I was at this point, you made a reference where you said you're going to sit back down like you were sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm. So as you're sitting in a chair, we usually kind of drop our butts back a little bit. Yep. That's it. That's perfect. And then you push through your feet and you're going to lift it right back up.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. That's it. And now since we are live, I can give you this. So lift your hips back up.
Okay.
Good. Now can you soften your heart back for me just a little bit more? So as if your chest, yes. There you go. So that way your highest point is your pelvis and not your spine. And this is where the spine likes to get excited. It likes to do a little bit more than we're asking it to do sometimes. Absolutely. Yes. And so from here, now you let your spine have that journey. And now it's going to peel itself down. Absolutely. There you go.
Good, thanks.
Good. Right. And relax.
Did that clarity?
Yeah, no, please feel free. I love a question. Okay. So let's actually stay right there and let's let our leg bones kind of get a little bit more involved in this too, just a bit. All right. So the palms are going to be down on the floor just for a second. Your feet are still flat. Your knees are still kind of reaching over your ankles and toes a little bit. So it's if that we're standing in front of you, it's like they're getting pulled forward just the tiniest bit. All right. And now your pelvis gets to melt and stay down onto the floor. It's not going to be the mover. And the thigh bones are what's going to move. So I want you to just butterfly the legs open. So they're going to, both knees are going to go out to the sides of the room. And then they're going to close. They're going to actually close back in. Yep. So your feet for this one, I'm going to ask that they stay flat on the ground, which may change your range of motion. All right. So you're going to feel the feet to be able to stay rooted into the floor as you open the legs. And then when you close, I almost want you to think like you're squeezing an imaginary ball. And you're gonna really squeeze it evenly on both sides to bring those knees back in line with that hip joint. So you're gonna open the legs out, and then you're gonna squeeze that imaginary ball and close them back. Good. You're gonna do that one more time. You're gonna open the thigh bones, allowing them to move outward in space. And then you're gonna squeeze that imaginary ball as you bring your legs back in, so that you want your knees, ankles, and toes to be all in one line, right? And now we're gonna go back. So you're gonna leave those legs in, and now we're gonna go back to that bridge that we were just doing. So you're gonna bring your legs in, you're holding that imaginary ball, your feet are pressing down into the floor. You're gonna scoop through that pelvis again. So now you're gonna curl, allowing your whole sacrum to get on the ground. You're gonna really feel your lower back onto the floor, and then you're gonna peel yourself off one little piece at a time. Yep. So your hips are going to be the highest point. Your ribs and shoulders are actually what's drawing down. Knees are going to continue to reach over the ankles and over the toes. There you go. See if you can wrap through your glutes just a little bit more and soften your heart just a little bit more. And now you get to butterfly the legs the way you were doing. So you're going to open those thigh bones out to the side, just like you did when you were on the ground. And then you're going to squeeze that imaginary ball. You're going to close them again. Perfect. And you're going to open the thighs out, still trying to lift the hips and soften the heart. And you're going to close the legs again. You're going to do it one more time. Open out and then close the thigh bones. Good. Now we're going to keep it here. I want you to keep the legs closed. You can press the palms down into the mat. But from here, I want you to really root your right foot into the floor. Your left leg is just going to slightly come off the floor. It can stay bent. You can bring it up to the tabletop if it makes it all the way that high, but mostly I just want you to see if you can root, taking that left foot off. So the right leg's gonna stay down. The left foot is just gonna try to leave the floor, even if it's just for a second. And then you're gonna bring that leg back down. There you go, Nuff, that's good. And then bring it away. You're gonna do that same leg again. And you're gonna bring that leg up one more time. You're pressing through that right leg, allowing that right glute to stay lifted. You're gonna soften through the rib cage. There you go, pushing through that right foot. Knees are still reaching over ankles and toes. And you're gonna bring that left leg down. And right here, we're gonna go back to the butterfly. The legs are gonna butterfly open. And then they're gonna squeeze that imaginary ball. They're gonna close. And they're gonna open out. And then they're gonna close back in. Last time, they're gonna open out. And then close back in. Good. You're still holding that imaginary ball. You're going to press down through that left leg now, because now the right leg is going to come up off the floor. There you go. Your knees are still reaching over your ankles and toes. Those two landmarks that we touched in the front, you're going to make sure exactly that they're both still facing up towards the ceiling. Your heart is still dropped, nice and long, and you're going to put that right leg back down. Good. Now from here, you're going to bring that right leg back up. Now soften your heart just a little bit more. Yes, so that your hips are the highest point. Bring that right leg back up. Good. Pressing down through that left leg, wrapping through the left glute. And then you're going to bring that right leg down. And then from here, you're going to peel your body all the way down. Knees are still reaching over your ankles and toes. Your hips and that sacrum is going to be the last thing that comes down to touch your mat. Good job. Good. And from here, I just want you to take both knees, both of your legs. You're just going to fold them over to the right side of you. And just let them go as far as they're ready for right now. And you're just going to kind of take a breath, breathing into the left side of your body as your legs are over to the right. And then from here, you're going to peel your body back down to bring your legs back to center. And then we're going to do the other side. Your legs are going to fall up and over. Good. And I want you to really breathe now into that right side. You can even let that right arm kind of stretch itself as it's opening, allowing the rib cage on the right side to expand. And then as we come back, what happens if you allow your torso to help pull you back versus it being just a leg action? What happens if your spine and your ribs kind of get down to the floor and they set the journey so that your legs can then come back up towards the ceiling? Good. Good. All right. Now from here, I want us to roll over onto our right sides. We're going to do one more little glute thing before we stand it up. So you are going to be on your right side. You're going to make sure that both of those hip points are stacked up. And if you want to, you can take your hand and kind of put it underneath your head as we try as best we can to keep our head, shoulders, and pelvis all in the same alignment. If there's something by you that you want to put to help support your head, feel free to grab something, but we want it to be as close as an alignment as possible. All right. And now if you asked about like that idea of sitting in a chair. So even when your legs are bent here, I want you to feel like you're kind of sitting in a chair. So that knee is kind of in line with that, with the front of that hip crease. So where your hips crease, your knee is like right in the middle of that. Yep. And those sits bones that we were sitting on, they're spread nice and wide, so that those 2 points are nice and stacked up on top of one another. So 2 headlights that we touched, you want one to be right on top of each other, and they're still now facing forward. So they're always going to face the same way that your shoulders and eyes are facing. They're always going to face the same way. All right. So from here, we're just going to work on that top leg for just a second. All right. So the top leg is going to be the moving leg first. All right. I want you to keep the leg in the same shape that it's in, but I want you to lift the leg up. I always say kind of like a dog peeing on a hydrant a little bit, or a male dog peeing on a hydrant. Yep. So you're going to lift it up. And you're going to keep that knee, make sure it's not pointing towards the ground, but it's facing up and away from the ground. And now you're going to check out the pelvis. Did you stay stacked as you open that leg? Because you want those hips to still be stacked. And then you're going to slowly lower that leg down to a little bit of a hover. So short of it coming all the way down. And you're going to lift the leg right back up. Good. And then you're going to lower the leg down to that hover point. And then you're going to bring it back up. So you're going to make sure that you don't rock back side to side. You want to keep those hip points facing the same way that your shoulders and eyes are facing, or stacked right on top of one another. So you're going to go down, and then you're going to lift it up. Let's do this one more time. Here we go. You're going to go down and then lift the leg up. Good. You're going to check out, make sure that knee's not facing towards the ground, but it's kind of spiraled up, that those hip points are still stacked. And then from here, you're going to draw nice little small circles with that top leg. So you're going to make a nice circle. If it was a pencil on your knee, you want to make a nice smooth circle without taking the pencil away from the paper. And you're doing that with your hips still stacked on top of one another. So that those 2 hip points that we touched, those ASIS points, are still facing forward. There you go. And now you get the plum pleasing pleasure of reversing that circle. So you're going to go in the other direction. Whichever direction you were going, you're going to go in the other one. And as you're circling that leg, you're making the leg bone, the thigh bone, do it all by itself. The pelvis is nice and soft. It's quiet. It's not doing anything. So that means you're not rocking back and forth, but you are circling that leg. And now from here, that leg is going to come right to the middle. It comes back to its starting point. Knees are going to be facing me, hip bones are going to be facing me. And now you're going to take that thigh bone and you're going to push it back in space. So you're going to push it as if you were trying to kick something behind you. So that thigh bone is going to stay bent. Yep. You're going to kick something behind you. You're going to push that leg all the way back. Good. And then you're going to bring that leg back to where it started, which is that knee in line with that hip joint. Perfect. And you're going to do it again. You're going to push the leg back like you're kicking something behind you. And the more that thigh bone goes back, the more that top hip point, that ASIS point, is going to come towards me, that headlight. There you go. And then you're going to bring it back in. You got 2 more. So you're going to crease at that hip to bring that leg back forward. So that mini sitting in the chair. And then you push the leg back as if you're kicking something behind you. Going to do it one more time. Here we go. Push the leg back all the way. Good. This time you're going to leave that leg behind you. And even here, you're going to think about that thigh spiraling up and away from the ground. Even though it's behind you, it's still all the way back. See if you can go back a little bit more with that leg, pushing it away. That hip point is coming more towards the camera, even though your leg is going behind you. There you go. And you're going to bring that leg back forward and put the leg down. And relax. Take a little moment there. You're going to lie down on your back. You can quickly just bring your knees into your chest before we flip over and do the other side. All right, let's do that on the other side. So now you're going to be lying on your left side. We're going to use the other leg. All right, so your knees are trying to make like a 90-degree, right? Because those sits bones that we touched, that we were sitting on, we still want them spread nice and wide. Okay, so from here, you're going to take that leg. The top leg is the one that's moving, right? Your hip bones are stacked, your shoulders are stacked, and you're going to lift that thigh up. It's going to stay in that same shape. Good. You're going to make sure that that knee isn't rotating to the ground, but it's spiraling up and away from the ground. There you go. And then you're going to lower the leg down to a little bit of a hover. Good enough. And you're going to lift the leg up. Delilah, you can spiral that thigh away from the ground just a little bit. Yes. And then you're going to lower the leg down. And you're going to lift the leg up. Now, remember, we're moving this thigh bone, but your pelvis is not. So the bodies might want to try to rock back, but you want to make sure that you just stay directly on your side. So that may change the range of motion that you're able to go. You're going to go down. Good. So enough, keep that top hip facing your window as you lift that leg up. So you're going to go up just to there. Now see if you can bring that top hip forward, back towards your plants. There you go. And then down. You got one more, guys. You're going to bring the leg down just to that hover point. And then you're going to take it back up. From here, you're going to draw nice little circles with the knee. So that pencil is right on the end there. You want to make a nice smooth circle. And as you're moving this circle, you're still making sure that the movement is only coming from the thigh bone and the pelvis, or those two hip points that we touched, are still facing the wall in front of you. And now you're going to reverse that circle. Here we go. So reversing it out and around. Yep, still paying attention to your bony landmarks. At both of those hip points, there you go, and that they stay forward. All right. And now from there, we bring it back to our baseline. So it's right back in the middle. Now from here, we push the leg back. So you push your leg back in space as if you're kicking something behind you. So that leg is going to go back. So the thigh bone is moving, but the pelvis is not. Those two hip points are still staying forward. And you're making sure that knee isn't dropping to the ground, but it's still spiraling up and away. And you're going to bring that leg back forward. And you push your leg back. Really pushing it back in space as if you're kicking something behind you. And the more that leg travels back, the more that hip point travels forward to face the same way that your shoulders and nose are facing. And coming back. And do that again. And push the thigh bone back. Reaching it away. Good. And then bring it away one more time. Bring it back forward. Last time. And push the leg back. All the way. See if you can push it back a little bit more, but that top part of that hip is still facing forward. And then bring it back, and then bring the leg down. Nice. And relax. Lie on your back. You're gonna bring your knees one more time into your chest. And then from here, I want you to find your way to standing. So that we can be a nice standing body. Yep. So now we're standing, and we're still going to kind of pay attention to those landmarks that we were talking about. Where's the weight through our pubic bone? And can I feel the width of my pelvis? So now I want your legs to be right where you had your hands on that hip. I want your legs to be wider than that. So you're really going wider than that top part that we were touching. All right. So one of the functions of the pelvis is the ability to be really mobile. It spreads really wide. All right. So and that's how we're able to sit in the chair. So as we're here, your legs they could be a little bit turned out, meaning they don't have to be so far forward or even so far turned out. Find yourself in a nice middle ground. Because as we move through here, I want you to bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair, and you're gonna allow your pelvis to really spread nice and wide as you're going. And then I want you to push through your feet and then come back up. Now, if you're pretty tall, so I want your legs to open out a little bit more if they can. There you go. Perfect. And now as you go here, it's just going to give you a little bit more space. The wider our legs, the more mobility our space tends to have, our pelvis has. So I want you to really drop down. And as you go down, you're going to let that weight go down through your pubic bone. Good. So those two hip points we were facing, I want them still going the same place as your shoulders. And see if you can go and sit in that chair a little bit more, like you're trying to squat down a little lower. And then press through your feet, both of your feet, to come back up. Good. We're going to do it again. And you're going to go down to a real nice juicy hip crease. Good. Good. Now from here, you're going to come up just a little bit, and then you're going to sit back in the chair. And you're going to come up just a little bit more by pressing through your feet, and then you're going to sit back down. And you're going to do it again. You're going to come up just a little, and then you're going to sit all the way down as low as you can, and then push through both feet, and you're going to come back up, pressing all the way. And as you stand up, your arms are going to come up towards the ceiling. From here, you're going to reach your right arm. Your right arm is going to reach up and past your left, and then it's going to come back down. And now your left gets to reach up and beyond your right, and then it comes back to center. And now the right arm is going to reach up again. The right arm is reaching. You're still grounding through your feet. You're going to take your right arm up and over over to the left as you let your left arm just kind of fall down by your side. Really open up the right side of the spine. And then you're going to push through your feet as you bring both arms back up towards the center, allowing your torso to come back up. And now from here, we're going to do that on the other side. So the left arm takes the journey up. We go up and over. Really breathing in through here. Good. And then you're going to push down through the right side of your body to bring it back up. We're going to do that one more time each way. Right arm goes up. It goes over as it takes the torso with it. And then you push through both sides to come back up. Last time, you're going to reach up through the left. You go up and over to the right. Perfect. And then we come back in. So now both arms are up towards the ceiling. We're grounded down through our feet. We get to now sit in that chair again. So you're going to really crease, allowing the pelvis to widen as you go down. Good. And then you're going to come up just a little bit. Now you're going to come down to a place where you feel like you can stay, because that torso journey gets to happen again. So we go up and over to the right, up and over to the left with the right arm, and then we come back up. And we go up and over to the other side. Good. And then come back up. One more time. Up and over. See if you can deepen into that hip crease. So it's like you sit just a little bit lower, and then come back. Last time. And we go up and over to the other side. Good. And then we're going to come back up. Pressing down through both feet. See if you can go down just a little bit lower. And then push to come all the way back up. You're going to bring your arms down. In fact, let's actually bring them just to a little bit of a letter T. So our legs are still wide, even through here. You're going to make sure that they're soft just a little bit, so that way you're not locking your knees. From here, you're going to twist your body up and over your right side. So now we're going to really move through the torso, spiraling around. So it's like your torso is trying to go open over your right thigh. And then you're going to come back to center. And then you're going to bring yourself back to center. Yep. And then you're going to go around to the other side. So you're going to rotate it through. And then come back. One more time. You're going to rotate it over to the right. So your torso is spiraling over the right thigh. Now you're going to keep your torso over the right thigh, and now you're going to bend the right knee. So you're going to bend through the right leg, but the left leg is going to stay straight as you bend it through. And then you're going to push and straighten up through the right thigh. So your torso is rotated over your right thigh, and now your right leg is what's going to bend. And then you're going to come back up. And now you're going to see if you can really bend and sit in that chair a little bit deeper. So you're going to bend So you're still spiraling over that right thigh. You're bending. The left leg is going to stay straight. And then you're going to push through, and then you're going to come back up. Bring your torso back to center. From here, you can lower your arms down. You're going to fold your chin towards your chest. You're going to do one little roll down. So fold your knees, soften your knees just a little bit, folding your chin towards your chest. You're going to roll yourself all the way down, just for a moment, letting your head hang, letting your arms hang. See if you can really let the little bony bits, this is what I call your spine, really let them move as individuals as they move down. Once you get to the bottom, you're just going to soften your knees just a little bit more, allowing your head just to hang. And then from here, you're going to push down through your feet. You're going to let that tailbone curl itself under so that that pubic bone is curling back up towards your navel. And that's what's going to start your journey rolling back up so that it starts up from the spine and not from the legs. But you're going to slowly roll yourself back up. Once you get all the way up there, your arms are coming back up towards the ceiling because we just got to do the other side. So now as you hear, see if you can open your legs just a little bit wider. And now from here, you're going to bend both knees, having it down, reaching it through. Sits bones are spreading wide. You're going to push down through both feet and you're going to lift, come back up. One more time. And you're going to bend. And now we're getting to that place where we're holding there. And now we're going to go back to those side bends. So we're going to go up and over to the right side first, left arm. Go up and over. We're going to go over the way. And then come back to center. And then we're going to go up and over to the other side. Good. And then come back to center. And now, the same way we talked about those knees not rotating towards the ground, you want to still think about them spiraling up and away. And then we do that one more time. Go up and over to one side. Go. And then coming back to center. And now we're going to go up and over to the other side. And then come back to center. Push down through both feet. Push through your legs. Stack yourself back up. And now you're going to take your hands back out to the letter T. You're going to rotate over that left thigh. So you're going to twist as you go. Now you're going to stay here, twisted over that left side as you bend the left knee. So you're bending yourself down. And then you're going to push through the leg to come back up. So you're going to bend. Be sure you're really kind of sitting in like one half of the chair. So you're going to be sure that that left butt cheek is kind of going back because you're still sitting in the chair as you push through the leg. There you go. And then come back up one more time. And bend. You're rotating out through the torso so you can get a little bit more work through the torso. And then push through the leg. Come back to center. Spine rotates back to the camera. And now through here, you're going to now roll your hands, roll your chin towards your chest one more time. This time you're going to go halfway. Once you get to halfway, you're going to put your hands on your thighs. I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what my spine is doing. So now your hands are going to be on the side there. Now you're going to reach your chest long towards the camera as your hips go back. So you're reaching out. Good. Your hands are on the front of your thighs. You're going to push down through your hands and through your feet. We're going to articulate the pelvis again, the same way we did in the bridge. You're going to curl, let it ripple all the way through the spine, but you're staying down there. And then you're going to let your tail go back and your heart go back to the camera. So you're doing like a standing cat and cow that most people have done, or at least heard of. And I want you to curl, you're rounded, so you're staying your body in that flat back position. You're staying in that plane where your torso is parallel to the floor. And then you're going to let your tailbone go back as your chest goes forward, keeping your body parallel to the floor. You're going to do it one more time. And you're going to curl. You want to be sure your knees are soft so that you're not locking them. You're slowly rolling up. And then you're going to reach your chest back out last time, parallel to the floor. Then from here, you're going to curl this time. You're going to roll yourself all the way back up, stacking it away. Bring yourself all the way back to a nice standing body. Good. Once you're a standing body, you're going to bring your legs back underneath you. And our last thing to kind of finish up. So you're going to bring your hands out in front of you. Your knees are still a little bit soft, right? And I said out in front of you, but they're gonna actually be bent. They're in front, but they're a little bent like that, so they're kind of making that 90-degree too, right? So as you go from here, your knees are a little bit soft. We're doing that so that your spine stays really mobile. You're gonna now reach, your right arm is gonna kind of reach up and over towards the left. So we're gonna go arm, and we're just gonna keep alternating. Almost like you're just, yep. And as you're moving there, what you're gonna monitor is, can you keep your headlights facing forward, even though your arms are reaching side to side? So that it could be my pelvis moving this way, but I'm gonna go for option B, where my pelvis stays steady, and then my arms get a chance to meet. And now I want you to see if you can take that a little bit faster. So you're moving through it, right? Now as you move, what happens if you let your torso kind of go with you? So that spiral that we did, what happens if you also let your chest spiral towards the hand that's reaching, or towards the side that we're reaching? Good. Can you take your speed up just a little bit? Can your reaches get a little bit longer? Check out that pelvis. Is your pelvis moving? I don't want it to be twisting. See if you can keep those hip points relatively forward. Yes, they are, and if they're in conversation, so they're moving some, but I don't want them to be twisting. I want them to be staying forward. Good. Now see if you can move a little bit more through your torso to help your arm reach, and see if you can take your pace up just slightly. So just really do your torso. Now, while you're doing this, can you stay grounded through your feet? Are you still paying attention to your breath? Are you still breathing? Good. And now you're gonna let the torso be quiet, but now the arms are gonna go back to them just reaching by themselves. So now the torso isn't twisting as much. It's just the arms reaching across the body. Keeping that pace. Can the arms just reach a little bit more? And now we're gonna bring the torso one more time. So now the torso is gonna twist again. So it's reaching, it's twisting, but your legs are staying soft. Your hip points are still staying forward. Wrapping it away. See if your chest can see the sides of the room a little bit more as you reach, just to get your torso a little bit more available. 3, keep going. And then you're gonna take the torso out of it one more time. Let it just go back to just the arms. Breathing it through. And then you're gonna let the arms come down a notch. So on a scale of 1 to 10, they're like at a 4. It gives you a chance to check back in with your weight in your feet, with your 2 hip bones facing forward. And then you're gonna take the arms down just a little bit more. So now they're even going a little bit slower. And then you're gonna slowly just let them resonate where they're down by your side. And then from here, both arms are just gonna come up towards the ceiling. They go all the way up. And you're gonna grab your right hand is gonna grab your left wrist. And it's gonna pull, try to elongate it a little bit more, but you're still really grounding into both legs, or really grounding into that left side as it's being pulled. And then you're gonna let it go. And now your left hand gets to grab the right side. So your left hand is grabbing your right wrist. You're still grounding your feet into the floor. And then you're bringing it back. As you bring your arms down, I want you to think of all of those things that you are rooted in. You can even bring your legs a little bit more closely underneath that hip crease or that hip joint. And I want you to go back to that last little noticing. And I want you to notice where your body is now. What are you feeling? Where's the breath? Once you notice something, I want you to slowly open your eyes if they're closed, or even just bring yourself back to that outside world as we were just internal. And I want to thank you. Thank yourself for being here and for showing up. And remember, you already have all you need. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Give thanks, sis.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?